Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home on this cold kind of October morning. It is May 15th and we are live, of course, every Thursday morning. And we have a great show ahead of us. Later on in the hour, we'll be talking with one of my favorite services here in Tacoma, and that's Paint Tacoma Beautiful. I had a chance to be on one of their painting crews several years back, and it was such a great experience that I know you can't wait to hear about this, because there are many ways that you can help this summer make someone's house all that it can be. And then Tacoma Musical Playhouse is here to talk about their current on-stage musical production, and it's called The Full Monty. And yes, you heard me right. It is the Full Monty. And Metro Parks Tacoma is here. Even though it may be kind of cold and drizzly outside, it is time for us to think about summer. And what will we do with our children? Well, Metro Parks has a slew of wonderful camp opportunities that you definitely want to know about. And then with me right now is someone that I introduced you to probably about 4 months ago when she first took over the helm at Tacoma Public Utilities. And I have thought about her nonstop. I've wondered how she was doing. And I am delighted to have her back on the big old white comfy couch and here in the studio. Please join me in welcoming back Jackie Flowers. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be back, Amanda.
It's great to have you back. You are still the director of Tacoma Public Utilities.
I am. I made it 9 months.
You did 9 months. Congrats, my dear.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about the Click Network update right now. So they have been a beloved cable TV provider for Tacoma for over 20 years. And tell us a bit about Click in the more recent years as a policy issue for the city of Tacoma, because there's been a lot of conversation about this.
Yes, there really has. So yes, as you pointed out, the Click Network celebrated its 20th anniversary last year. So that was exciting. It's been a great asset for the utility and for the citizens of Tacoma. When the Tacoma Public Utilities looked at making investments into the electric infrastructure 20 years ago, they looked at opportunities to leverage that investment in infrastructure that we would use as a utility to help provide value-added services to our customers. And the Click Network was born. And really, it's interesting to come in at this point in the conversation and reflect on that historical move. The move into the cable business was kind of an incidental, not really the original plan, and yet that has become what Click has been known for. So as we operate that network successfully over the 20-year period, we have, just to let folks know how it operates today, it's publicly owned, it's public infrastructure. The city of Tacoma Power, specifically at Tacoma Public Utilities, provides cable services. So we actually are the cable service provider to end-use customers, which is really unique. And then on that network, we partner with private internet service providers to provide business and commercial connectivity in terms of internet. And when you think about how much technology's changed in that 20-year period, we have internet use and reliance expanding. It's growing exponentially. Yes. And while that cable use is declining, because people are getting cable services and video services in different ways than they were 20 years ago. So it's a very dynamic, changing environment. But I think that one of the things that's interesting to me is there is so much value and customer support, and a lot of that is because of the customer service that we've been able to provide.
Yes.
And I will just say that, the Click Network has been successful, and going forward, as we move to a more sustainable path, it will be a successful public network going forward. And both the City Council and the Board of Public Utilities are committed to that outcome.
I love that. So let's talk about, as Click is looking to expand the existing public-private partnership with a local partner here, which I love. What was the process of selecting a private partner? Because I could imagine a lot of these private companies would want to get their hat in the ring.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an interesting conversation, and when I looked to get familiar with the history, over about a 9-year period, the policymakers have been doing this no stone unturned. What is the model that will work for us and be most sustainable and allow us to achieve our goals and objectives? And about a year ago, but prior to my arrival, the policymakers set 12 policy goals. They were able to articulate what is it that we want to get as we transition to a new model. What service and what provisions do we want to ensure are available when we make that transition? And then they directed the staff to move forward in exploring an enhanced public-private partnership. And as you pointed out, we've already had a public-private partnership with our internet today. And in fact, when they went through the process, they had a consultant who has come in, developed a request for inquiry and interest and qualifications. It's RFIQ process, where they solicited interest. They had 5 respondents, including 2 of our current internet service providers. They went through a rigor of evaluating proposals and potential terms against the 12 policy goals that they had articulated, whittled that down to 3 potential. And then as they put more detail around the context of what specifically they would do to meet the policy goals and how we would measure compliance with those goals, ultimately Rainier Connect, our local internet service provider, had the strongest offering and was the one that the consultant recommended that we proceed with negotiating.
So tell us about Rainier Connect. What do we need to know from a private citizen point of view?
Well, Rainier Connect is definitely a known quantity in Tacoma. As I mentioned, they're a current internet service provider on the Click network. They've been on the Click network for the entire time that Click has been around. They provide both residential and commercial internet service. They're a local company. They have a presence in Tacoma. They've been around for more than 100 years. And when you think about how much the telecommunication and video and internet wasn't even around 100 years ago. It was the old telephone style, right? The old way.
Dial-up.
Yeah, exactly. And they have evolved and kind of succeeded as they've made that transition with the change in technology and the change in customer expectations. So to have a company that's 100 years in the making, that's been an existing partner, and that's committed to Tacoma, and what has struck me as the negotiations have progressed is not only do they meet the policy goals, but they're committed to exceeding in many cases and really have a strong commitment to Tacoma. So I'm optimistic about the process going forward and the future of Click.
I'm overjoyed that you selected them. They have their roots in HarborNet. They bought out HarborNet, and HarborNet was my internet provider for years. And let me tell you, their customer service was off the hook. It was excellent. I mean, you could call, get a human being the moment they picked up. They solved the problem. If they didn't solve the problem, they were always calling you back to check on connectivity, everything. And then within 24 hours, there was somebody out there to help you. So I always loved HarborNet, which is now Rainier Connect. So good on you for picking a good one.
Thank you.
Let's talk about how they fit into policy goals. First off, actually, just back up. I want you to pick one of the policy goals. I know there's 12 of them, and we have the website showing below where we want to encourage our audience to go look up the other 11 policy goals. I wish we had more time for all of them. But what is one that you want to highlight, and then how does Rainier Connect fit into that?
Right. There are so many that are important, and frankly, each in its own right is very important. And I'm not going to hit on the public ownership, although that is one of the policy goals, because that'll come up later, as will a couple others. I think one that's really interesting to me is equitable access. And when I think about what's happening in the space for internet connectivity, you see a lot of investment in maybe more affluent areas in some communities where they're what we call cherry picking. They're deciding, I can go into this neighborhood and I can charge a premium for access, and we're going to give them a higher speed access than the rest of the service territory, and they'll pay a higher price. With Rainier Connect and the policy goals that the policymakers have set aside, we're going to have equitable access. The investment in technology will lead to service levels that are consistent across the Click service territory.
Wonderful.
So no matter where you live, you're going to have the same level of service
It's the
and
same
the same
kind of speed as anybody else has in a gated community.
Yes, exactly.
Well done.
And then they also have a low-income element that they've committed to as part of the policy goals, which is, I'm cheating, I'm putting a second policy goal in there, that they're going to develop that will align with the income assistance programs that Tacoma Public Utilities has in place currently. So there will be opportunities to provide, rate relief to folks that qualify in those areas.
Great.
And be able to make sure that it is affordable and that it is good, high quality speed.
Excellent. In these last 3 minutes, because time just goes by so quickly, I know, I want to find out two things. I want to find out when all this is going to happen, and then I want to find out how the TPU employees are or will be impacted by this.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's going to take time. This is a transition that we want to be thoughtful about, and we want to, make sure that both our customers and our employees have a successful transition. And so we just met 2 days ago with both the board and the council to review the status of, how we're going to hold Rainier Connect accountable to the policy goals, and that will be ongoing measurements and ongoing accountability, not just at the end of the contract. And then we are planning to bring forward to them a contract within the next month or two. And we're anticipating a 6 to 9 month transition where we're going to work very closely. Tacoma Public Utilities is going to work very closely with Rainier Connect to make sure our customers transition successfully. And we're already in discussions with them about our employees. That's been ongoing. Our commitment to our employees has been to do our best to give them a soft landing. And we've been working, over the last 18 months to help them be successful in interviewing and pursuing other jobs in the city. The staff level has gone from 92 to 49 in the last year, with 30 some of those taking other jobs at Tacoma Public Utilities.
Excellent.
So we're helping to retool those, retrain them. We've got some that are committed to staying through the transition, and we're going to do our best to take care of those employees that have served this network so well.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. So what can our customers expect?
So you can expect, as a customer of the Click Network, whether you're a television customer or an internet customer, that you are absolutely front on our mind in this transition. We're going to work with Rainier Connect as we get a little further, and certainly as we get the final nod from the policymakers to proceed with the contract, to provide opportunities for them to see the technology, test the technology, understand what the transition looks like. It's a transition, so it's going to take time, and it might get a little bumpy here and there. It's like construction, in front of the building here.
Well, there is.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I feel really confident that we're going to land in a good spot and have great products and services as a result of the additional investment in the network.
I love that. Okay, so last question besides, I need to have you back on the couch in about 6 months as we move toward that seamless date of connecting with Rainier Connects. How do you feel about the future right now?
I feel really good about it. I, as somebody who's come in and is a firm believer in public-owned infrastructure providing broadband service and the different business models that we look at, I think that the policymakers have set us up for success by clearly articulating what they want to see done. Rainier Connect is contributing to that success by being committed to meeting and exceeding those standards. And importantly, it's going to be a publicly owned asset. We're going to continue to use it. The city of Tacoma, through their iNet, is going to continue to use it. Those services will stay in place. What we're going to do is we're going to see the partner invest in the infrastructure to provide more products and services that are better in tune with what people expect today.
Excellent.
And importantly, that they will operate the cable side. We'll get out of that business, and we will be holding them accountable to that going forward. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to hold you accountable to get back on this couch in 6 months. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, for the team that you represent, and for such excellent transparency and beautiful high standards. It's good to see you again.
You too. Thank you.
All right. When we come back after this quick break, in the house here, we are going to have, I believe it's going to be Metro Parks Tacoma. Yep, that's right. Talk about their summer programs. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.